It's the renovation rescue of the Liberal Party, the extreme makeover of Peter Dutton, his political rehabilitation and rebranding. With the censure of Scott Morrison complete, the coalition now has a new path. They've scapegoated Morrison, blamed him for all the ills and incompetence of 9 years of coalition government, and now we have the new, softer Peter Dutton. So it is that puff pieces are springing up like blowflies in the mainstream media. We see this magnificent puff piece in Nine Entertainment Media, Costello Media, over the weekend. Good bloke, misunderstood. It's a far cry from 2017, 2018, when the same media organisation framed Dutton as a political warrior spoiling for a fight. And now it's good bloke, but misunderstood. And we've just seen Newspoll come out showing his approval rating has absolutely soared from 17% to 24%. It's even surpassed undecideds, with Albo up there on 57%, almost untouchable at the moment. The other part of the rebranding is that there are differences between the coalition and Labor. Well, not so much on fossil fuels, on NAC and so on, but there are differences indeed. Competence. Labor has been doing stuff, passing legislation, passing bills in Parliament, reforming, fixing up the mess after 9 years in power. So the difference is really doing stuff rather than talking about doing stuff. Now, ABC too has just galloped to the rescue with a ridiculous piece, a bit of journalistic both sidesism, both parties to blame for economic mismanagement. After 9 years in power, now the ABC is telling us in an exclusive interview with Nine Entertainment chairman, no less, Peter Costello, that both sides, both Labor and Liberal, are to blame. He's talking about fiscal rectitude, fixing the budget and everything like this. But here's the catch, and it's a fantastic catch. Jim Chalmers and Anthony Albanese are going to be looking good because the budget deficit is going to be $70 billion better off over the next 4 years, according to economists, because of soaring commodity prices. Ironically, soaring gas and coal prices, and iron ore, of course, too. $70 billion better off. So the budget deficit is going to come down. And just like Peter Costello and his troops claim credit for the China super cycle when their budgets were in order, now Labor can claim credit for the falling budget deficit for repairing the mess that the coalition left. Dutton is completely cornered politically, and that's why he's saying nothing. That's why Albo was able to attack him in Parliament last week and call him the Trappist monk.
The last media conference the Leader of the Opposition held was on the 3rd of November. He's taken a vow of silence. He's less a Leader of the Opposition and more a Trappist monk.
He's gone missing. He's not giving any press conferences because he's got nothing to say. He doesn't have any policies. And so what have he got instead of policies? Well, we saw it in the Fin Review this morning when Alexander Downer, the old Liberal Party Conservative stalwart, came out and said freedom. That's the message they've got to deliver, freedom. What are these nebulous sort of Trumpist, Boris Johnson type of terms, Bolsonaro? Now, those guys are all out now, but they're trying to bring back the freedom mantra because, you see, Dutton is cornered. They can't run the good economic managers line because the budget deficit is falling thanks to commodity prices. They don't have any policies, so they're just sitting in the wings waiting. What are they waiting for? They're waiting for Albo to actually do some really big reform in the area of taxing fossil fuel multinationals and addressing the gas cartel rip-off, which is costing every man, woman and child in this country. The resources lobby, the mining lobby has already said they're going to run a campaign if they don't get their own way, just like they got rid of Kevin Rudd, a sitting Prime Minister of Australia in 2009. They're threatening now to attack Albo and Labor if there's any significant change to resources policy, to mining policy, to energy policy, to taxing foreign multinational tax cheats, to an export levy. And so it is that Peter Dutton really has nowhere to go. He's got the Murdoch flunkies, Sky News After Dark and so forth, throwing their hands in the air and saying the usual stuff. The voice bad, climate change a hoax, the Conservatives need to go further to the right. And then he's got the political moderates saying, but Australians don't vote for extremists, they vote for people in the centre. And so he really is in a bind, And that's why he's become the Trappist monk, as Albo puts it. But he's waiting around. At some point, if there are any significant reforms, they try to dump the stage 3 tax cuts for the wealthy. You know, that'll be called class warfare. Or they try to hit the miners with a tax to make them pay their way, to give them a social license to operate in this country. Any significant reforms along those lines, and suddenly Dutton will be back. And so here we are. Parliament has finished sitting for the year. We're close to the bring out your dead season, where the bad news gets leaked out because everybody's going on holidays or they're recovering from their Christmas parties. Nobody cares. We're still going to be here doing our job and supported by you. So thank you very much for your support.